The shadows are lengthening over the career of a man who once held the city of Houston in the palm of his hand. Listen closely, because the news we have today is nothing short of a tragedy for those who still remember the brilliance of Deshaun Watson in a Texans jersey. The former superstar, the man who was supposed to be the savior of franchises, has just hit a wall so thick and so high that many believe his story is reaching its final, painful chapter. This is a crisis that transcends the football field. It is a financial bomb and a professional nightmare that is shaking the foundation of the league. For weeks, there was a glimmer of hope. We saw reports of Watson traveling with his team, stepping onto the sidelines, and appearing to finally conquer the physical demons that have haunted him since that fateful day his Achilles tendon snapped like a dry twig. But that hope was a miracle that never arrived. The silence has been broken, and the words coming out of Cleveland are chilling for any fan of the sport. The decision has been made. The credits are rolling, whether Watson wants to admit it or not. The Houston Texans moved on and found a new path under the leadership of DeMeco Ryans, but the ghost of Watson's contract and his injury-plagued present continues to haunt the headlines. This is the moment where we analyze the absolute collapse of a Titan. Deshaun Watson is not coming back this season. He has been banished to the reserve physically unable to perform list, ending any dream of a late-season redemption arc. This wasn't just a minor setback. This was a total surrender by the medical staff and the front office. After 3 seasons away from Houston, Watson has only managed to start 19 games. 19. For a man who was traded for a haul of draft picks that reshaped the Texans' future, the return on investment has been a catastrophic failure. The news was delivered with a heavy heart, as the practice window that was opened with such fanfare has officially slammed shut. Watson tried to control the narrative. On social media, he posted messages of defiance, claiming his story was still being written and calling for more glory. But the reality is much darker. The writing hand emoji he used cannot mask the fact that his body is betraying him at every turn. Re-rupturing an Achilles is not just an injury, it is a career-threatening event that changes the trajectory of an athlete's life forever. While Watson sits in meeting rooms and tries to remain a leader, the world outside is calling this situation disgraceful. We are looking at a $230 million contract that has become an anchor, dragging an entire organization into the abyss. There is a very real possibility that heads will roll because of this. Even the coaching staff, which has tried to protect Watson, is now under the microscope of failure. Imagine the irony. The Texans, the team that Watson left behind in a cloud of controversy, are now ascending to the top of the AFC under DeMeco Ryans. They have found their identity, their culture, and their new franchise quarterback, while Watson is trapped in a cycle of rehab and disappointment. The contrast is stark. It is a reminder of how quickly the mighty can fall in the NFL. Every time Watson tries to build momentum, the medical cart appears. It happened against the Bengals, and it has happened again in the quiet halls of the training facility. The financial implications are staggering. Watson is guaranteed another $46 million next season. Think about that number. $46 million for a player who cannot stay on the field and who, when healthy, has looked like a shell of the Pro Bowler we knew in Houston. The situation is so dire that analysts are calling it the worst trade in the history of professional sports. It is a pivot point that will be studied for decades. And for the Houston Texans fans watching from afar, it is a bittersweet validation. The team made the right move to reset, to hire DeMeco Ryans, and to build a locker room based on resilience rather than individual superstardom that comes with such a heavy price tag. The upcoming 2026 season even promises a reunion where Watson and the Browns will host the Texans. But looking at the current state of affairs, will Watson even be there? Will he even be in the league? The uncertainty is a bomb waiting to explode. The Browns had a final opportunity to activate him, a deadline that stood like a guillotine. When the clock struck, they chose to walk away for the year. This decision tells us everything we need to know about his current physical state. He is not ready. He might never be ready to play at that elite level again. The tragedy here isn't just the money or the lost games, it's the loss of potential.
We are watching the slow-motion collapse of a career that once had Hall of Fame trajectory. Now it is a cautionary tale about guaranteed contracts and the fragility of the human body. DeMeco Ryans and the Texans have successfully turned the page, creating a new era of dominance. But the league cannot stop talking about the disaster unfolding elsewhere. This is the dark side of the NFL, the side where miracles don't happen, where injuries win, and where the past comes back to haunt you every single day. As we look toward the future, the speculation will only grow louder. Will they cut him? Can they even afford to? The questions are endless, and the answers are all painful. This is the reality of the Deshaun Watson saga, a story of glory that turned into a story of crisis. Stay tuned, because this tragedy is far from over, and the shockwaves will continue to hit the league for years to come. The era of Watson as a dominant force feels like a lifetime ago, a distant memory from a different version of the Houston Texans. Now, we only see the struggle. We only see the tragedy of a star that burned out too quickly, leaving behind nothing but a trail of broken promises and massive checks. The finality of this season's end is a wake-up call for everyone involved. The NFL is a brutal business, and today it showed its most ruthless face to a man who thought he was invincible. The story is being written, yes, but the ink is starting to look like a final goodbye.